Chris Kraus, American writer. Chris Kraus, born 1955, is an American writer and filmmaker. Her novels include I Love Dick, Aliens and Anorexia, Torpor, and Summer of Hate. Video Green, Kraus' first nonfiction book, examines the explosion of late 1990s art by high-profile graduate programs that catapulted Los Angeles into the center of the international art world. Her films include Gravity and Grace, How to Shoot a Crime, and The Golden Bowl, or Repression. Biography. Kraus was born in New York City and spent her childhood in Connecticut and New Zealand. After obtaining a BA at a young age from Victoria University of Wellington, New Zealand, Kraus worked as a journalist for 5 years and then moved to New York City. Kraus was aged 21 when she arrived in New York. Kraus made films and video art and staged performances and plays at many venues. In the late 1970s, she was a member of the Artists' Project, a city-funded public service venture of painters, poets, writers, filmmakers, and dancers. Her work as a performance and video artist satirized the downtown scene's gender politics and favored literary tropes, blending theatrical techniques with Dada, literary criticism, social activism, and performance art. Kraus is Jewish and deals with many spiritual and social aspects of Judaism in her works. She says that her parents attended Christian church and did not tell her that her family is Jewish until she moved back to Manhattan at age 21, possibly to shield her from antisemitism. She continued to make films through the mid-1990s. As of 2006, she was married to Silver Lotringer, a Jewish man who survived the Holocaust as a child, but they had divorced by 2016. Some of her works are based on her marriage and her ex-husband. She now lives in Los Angeles. In 2017, Kraus published After Kathy Acker, a biography of Kathy Acker. That same year, she also came under sustained criticism from anti-gentrification activists who believed Kraus and other artists were being used to promote displacement in Boyle Heights, Los Angeles. Semiotics chose to cancel an event at which she was slated to speak rather than face further protests. Works. I Love Dick. I Love Dick is an epistolary novel with autofiction elements and Kraus's most successful work. It's written as a series of love letters written to an addressee who is derived from the real-life cultural critic Dick Hebdige. In 2016, Joey Soloway adapted the novel as a TV series produced by Amazon Studios. The first season was released on May 12, 2017. Aliens and Anorexia. Aliens and Anorexia jumps back and forth in time and location, tracing the life and activism of Ulrich Meinhof. Video Green. A series of 23 essays written between 1998 and 2003, mostly in her column Torpor in the magazine Artext. Video Green is concerned with the literary, the personal, and the culturally marginal. The collection's essays not about Los Angeles include The Elegiac Posthumous Lives, about the performance artist Penny Arcade's loving curation of the estate of the filmmaker Jack Smith, and How to Shoot a Crime, about Kraus's 1987 film of the same name. The volume's first essay and its longest, art collection follows the idea of collecting through the MFA art scene and real estate market of Los Angeles, ending up in rural upstate New York, with the art collection and poetry of William Bronk. Torpor. Torpor follows Jerome Shafir, a literature professor at Columbia, his wife Sylvie Green, a writer and filmmaker with an inconclusive career, and their dog Lily through Rust Belt, New York City, Paris, Berlin, and the Eastern Bloc at the dawn of the New World Order. A portrait of a Holocaust survivor as well as of a marriage, Torpor also depicts a woman rarely found in literature, a down-and-out intellectual bearing witness to a culture in collapse. Kraus shifts out of the first-person narration of I Love Dick, and in naming her central characters, Sylvie and Jerome, she alludes to the hapless, interchangeable protagonists of George Perec's first novel, Les Choses. Perec, a childhood friend of both Torpor's Jerome and Kraus's real-life husband, Silver Lautringer, is quoted several times in the novel. Felix Guattari and Nan Goldin also make appearances, among other cultural figures, though Kraus's use of reality comes to more subversive effect than a simple Roman à clef. Summer of Hate. Summer of Hate is the story of Kat Dunlop who, like Kraus, is an art critic and occasional professor of cultural studies. Emerging rattled from a dangerous relationship with a dominant sex partner she met online, Kat invests in a handful of corroding properties in Albuquerque and moves there to prepare them for rental. She hires Paul Garcia to work as her property manager, and they begin a romantic relationship, though Kat is still married to an older philosopher in New York City. A recovering alcoholic, Paul is on parole after spending 2 years in prison for stealing less than an art gallery spends on an after-party. Eventually, he is pulled over for speeding and arrested in fulfillment of an outstanding warrant, and the pair embark on a grueling legal process involving inhumane prison practices and impossible parole stipulations. Back in Los Angeles, Kat studies and teaches all the books about symbolic violence, soft forms of control, but the forms of control to which Paul is subject are neither soft nor symbolic. As the course of her life fuses with the course of Paul's, Kat's relationship to class, race, citizenship, and criminality become increasingly complicated. After Kathy Acker. After Kathy Acker is a biography of Kathy Acker, a radical American experimental novelist, poet, and essayist. Writing in the Financial Times, Lauren Elkin wrote that Kraus is the perfect mediator for Acker, finding in her work an aesthetics of provocation, discomfiture, risk, and radical empathy. Reviewing the book for The Guardian, Olivia Lane noted Acker was the previous girlfriend of Kraus's now ex-husband. Where Art Belongs. One of Kraus' nonfiction works is Where Art Belongs, a book-length essay examining contemporary art and sexuality. In a series of vignettes, Kraus treats various forms of early 21st century art, detailing her personal association with some of the artists. Artists whose work is discussed include Ariel Pink, Bernadette Corporation, Bas Jana Dur, Elke Christoffek, Moira Davy, Louis Malle, and James Benning. Ariel Pink's visual art is discussed in connection with Tiny Creatures, an art collective that was active in Los Angeles from 2006 to 2007. Elke Christoffek's visits to Easter Island and Palau are described as being inspired by Adur's disappearance at sea journeys that were undertaken for the purpose of producing art. Photographer Moira Davies' diagnosis of multiple sclerosis is described as influencing her choice to incorporate writing into her artwork, particularly fragments by Walter Benjamin. Kraus also discusses her participation in the Sex Workers' Art Show, a touring show which precipitated the firing of Jean Michel, president of the College of William and Mary, when he allowed the troupe to perform at the college. Additionally, Kraus cites 2 historical countercultural documents on sexuality which have informed contemporary art. Suck was an underground newspaper founded in 1969 by Jim Haynes, Germaine Greer, Bill Levy, Heathcote Williams, and Jean Shrimpton. The 12th issue of Recherches, a French journal, was edited by Felix Guattari in collaboration with the Front Homosexuel d'Action Révolutionnaire, a gay rights group. Titled 3 Billion Perverts, the issue was devoted to homosexuality, with many copies being seized and destroyed by French authorities. Kraus cites Andrea Fraser's untitled 2003, a video work showing a sexual encounter between the artist and a collector, who subsequently purchased a copy of the video, as an example of an artwork informed by the literature. Semiotics Native Agents series. Silver Lautringer, Kraus's husband from the late 80s to the late 90s, founded Semiotext's Foreign Agents series, which mostly published French critical theorists, in 1980. 10 years later, Kraus founded the press's Native Agents imprint to publish fiction, mostly by women, as an analog to the French theories of subjectivity in the Foreign Agents series. In addition to groundbreaking works of fiction by writers like Michel T. and Anne Rower, Native Agents has published notable volumes of poetry and prose by Eileen Myles, Barbara Barg, and Fanny Howe, as well as memoirs and interviews by Kathy Acker, Bob Flanagan, David Rattray, and William Burroughs. In a 2012 piece for N+1, senior editor Elizabeth Gumport wrote what united the Native Agents authors was the way their work combined elements of theory, fiction, and biography, explicitly refusing to identify absolutely with any single genre. Films. Before beginning her career as writer, Kraus was an artist and filmmaker, making a number of short films and videos, including one featured Gravity and Grace. Her films have been the focus of a number of international retrospective exhibitions and screenings, beginning in 2008 with Plastic is Leather, Fuck You Film and Video 1983-1993 at Gallery Cinzia Friedländer, Berlin. In the press release for the 2011 exhibition at Real Fine Arts in Brooklyn, Kraus detailed her thoughts behind the production of these films. The Chance Event. The Chance Event, 3 Days in the Desert, Prem, Nevada, November 1996. Curated by Chris Kraus, Chance brought together Jean Baudrillard, Rossam Aluquer Stone, DJ Spooky, Diane D. Prima, the Moba Band of Paiute Indians, visual artists, garage noise bands, and 600 participants to investigate the mystery of Chance at Whiskey Pete's Casino. Variously described as a philosophy rave and one of the landmark events of the 90s, the Chance Event was reviewed on the front page of the Los Angeles Times and throughout the art press. Highlights, including a performance by Baudrillard wearing a gold Elvis-inspired blazer and accompanied by the Chance Band, were broadcast on European television. The event was funded by the French Cultural Service and Art Center College of Design. Influence. Though best known in the art world for much of her career, Kraus's readership is beginning to increase. She's been referenced in the work of poet Ariana Reines, novelist and memoirist Kate Zambrano, and in +1's pamphlet No Regrets. In an introduction to her September 2013 interview with Kraus in The Believer, author Sheila Heti wrote, "I know there was a time before I read Chris Kraus's I Love Dick. In fact, that time was only 5 years ago, but it's hard to imagine. Some works of art do this to you. They tear down so many assumptions about what the form can handle, in this case, what the form awards." In 2008, Kraus received the Frank Jewett Mather Award for Art Criticism from the College Art Association. Filmography and performance history. In order to pass 1982, 30 minutes, Super 8 film/video. Terrorists in Love 1985, 5 minutes, Super 8 film/video. Voyage to Rhodes 1986, 14 minutes, 16 film. Foolproof Illusion 1986, 17 minutes, video. How to Shoot a Crime 1987, 28 minutes, video. The Golden Bowl or Repression 1990, 12 minutes, 16 film. Traveling at Night 1991, 14 minutes, video. Sadness at Leaving 1992, 20 minutes, 16 film. Gravity and Grace 1996, 88 minutes. Lonely Girl Films New Zealand/USA/Canada. Disparate Action/Desperate Action 1980, performance. Readings from the Diaries of Hugo Ball 1983-84, performance. Longing Last Longer 1998, performance with Penny Arcade based on I Love Dick, directed by Eric Wallach and produced by The Kitchen, New York, January 1998.